Are we losing our human touch at work? It's time to change that.
We think we get joy and meaning out of a job, but actually we bring the meaning and the joy to the job. You are the joy of your work.
The way you lead yourself, it's the same way that you lead others. If you don't see hope and optimism in your life and your work, you cannot inspire hope or optimism in anyone else.
It's time to own who you are so that you can be real to others and lead through empathy.
How many people here have ever personally tried to change someone before? Have you done that? Yeah. And how does that work out for you? I know, it makes for a great first marriage. Or second or third for those of us who are slow learners. I have an entire life history of trying to control people, and only for two reasons. Number one, I care. You would never try to control an outcome unless you cared. And secondly, I know what's best for them. It's like a good friend of mine has had 4 husbands. I said to her, what was wrong with all those men? Because who's the common denominator? Everywhere you go, there you are. You see, if your worth is tied to your work, if your work is up and down, then you will be too. We will tend to do urgent things instead of the important things. But if we did the important things, the urgent things, they would tend to go away. Because our circumstances, they cannot stress us out. It's our reaction that creates the stress. Your circumstances can't define you.
Most workplaces turn humans into walking job descriptions, where our personality, it goes into witness protection. We're so busy performing that we've forgotten how to actually show up.
Here's all people really want from us. It's one simple thing. They want our presence. Be here with me now. See me not as a job description or balance sheet, because we are a shared humanity. We have a lot more in common than any of our differences.
We learn from contrast. So whenever you're working with someone, they have different styles, different ways of doing things. We will learn through and from that contrast. You see, we don't grow despite our differences or despite challenges. We grow because of them.
How many of you know 3 people? Yeah. Well, statistically, one of them has mental health issues. Well, how many people here talk to yourselves a lot? So everyone in this room, you have a voice in the back of your head. Some of you are like, what voice? That's the voice. That voice is predominantly negative. Over 75% of that voice is negative, and over 90% of what it says is the same thing it said yesterday, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So it works like this. We have thoughts which you think them over and over again. They become beliefs. Those beliefs turn into habits, and they become a part of your character. So we live in more like an autopilot. Most of it is unconscious, not conscious, but a lot of those behaviors is really why we don't reach our potential.
"95% of how we feel, it comes from our subconscious. Self-awareness is key to make unconscious beliefs and patterns conscious. So I like to weave clever comedy throughout a speech because laughter, it helps you to drop your defenses and relate more deeply to the human condition.
So during the pandemic, actually what he did is he put a map up on the refrigerator. He handed me a dart. He said, go ahead, throw the dart at the map Anywhere it lands, that's where I'm taking you when this pandemic is over. So it looks like we're gonna spend 2.5 weeks crawling around behind the refrigerator. And you know, the hard part about the pandemic for me is, public health protocol kept changing all the time. So I went and I looked it up online, and they said all you need to do is make sure that you're wearing gloves and a mask. So I was like shocked when I showed up at the grocery store and everyone else had clothes on.
I've presented for hundreds of Fortune 500 companies, and I've seen how we accidentally disconnect from our authentic selves. If your brain feels like a browser with 47 tabs open and you long for connection and belonging, this will give you relief.
For 20 years, I've made it my #1 job to find the most extraordinary speakers that can educate, entertain, and inspire. And we hit the jackpot this year with Jody Urquhart. Her presentation was absolutely brilliant. It was a humorous presentation, and there was substance. What I appreciated was people took home ideas they could use in their job the next day.
Focus on where you're headed, not where you're at. Focus on what you like about life and yourself and your work, not on what you don't like. Believe in people. Don't worry about them. So happiness is really important to me. And I like to help people find it because it's a state of being. Not something you earn, it's something that you are. It's something that you own. So for us to be there more often, we have to just really quickly understand this thing about taking care of ourselves. We do not do a good enough job of that. So to take care of yourself, you have to take care of 3 things in a very steady, consistent way. Here's what they are. You have to eat properly, you have to sleep, and you have to drink water. But most people don't do all 3 things in a consistent way. And as a result of that, statistically, we will make decisions on emotion, not logic. We tend to create problems instead of solving them. In other words, you don't need to file for divorce when all you needed was a sandwich.
Join us for a session that's deep enough to ponder your life choices, but funny enough not to take it personally.